Jordan Ham. Just wanted to go over you probably just watched a video on importing your clips. Now wanted to just take you through a quick little workflow of what it's like to edit something together. This is obviously going to be a dumbed down version, but just give you the gist of what to look for Premiere Pro, and then how to export it and upload it to me as well. So what we will start with is, first things first, just to get a lay of the land for Adobe Premiere. I know we've gone over this before, but just figured it would help. You went over how to import clips, so they all live right here. You'll see I have a photo, I have some B-roll here, I think another photo, Cliff Kingsbury sound, and then my two VOs. Now for VOs, typically what you would do is record it in an edit bay. I can give you instructions on how to do that. But what you can also do, since you might be doing this remotely, is if you have Cronkite equipment, you can have your mic set up on your camera, have it plugged in, hit record, make sure you're kind of near a wall so it's not too echoey. The more soundproofing you can do, the better. And that way you can record your VOs. So that's an option as well. You can also do it using Cronkite equipment in the edit bays. And we can also go over how to do it if you are going strictly remote and also don't have the Cronkite equipment with you, the best ways to do it, that sort of thing, here in a little bit. But I have some very basic VOs and that sort of thing. But just want to go over once again a couple of these setups. So we have learning that can give you some tutorials. If you just want to kind of tour around the basics of it, this is a really good one. There's more that it can link to as well. You have assembly, editing. I'd say we'd probably use this one, and effects probably the most. Color is another one that you can adjust. Make some adjustments to. I can show you. And then graphics we'll use to create our slate. So we'll keep it in effects for right now. If you double click on any of these clips, it'll populate in here. Now, you will have a bunch of individual clips. I just pulled two melts that I already had organized just for the sake of it being a little bit easier. But so you'll have a lot of more individual clips than what is shown right here. But to start, so with your project, you want to, before you get going, you want to write your script, write your VO script, know what sound you want to use for your interview. In Project 1, I believe it's 7 to 12 seconds of an interview that you'll use. We're just going to butt together a couple of VOs and then a couple of sound bites, and life should be good on that. So first things first, let's find your sound.
That has been a lot smoother.
I set an in and an out. Again, to set the I, if you're going through a long interview and you want to grab a certain part, you hit I. That will create the in. And then we'll do the I right here. And then this is the end of the bite. You hit O. It'll just pull that 15 seconds out for you now. And you can tell by right there. So this is 15 seconds we have.
We don't know how it'll play out, but I like the thought of it. I think you get adjusted well.
So let's just find a quick little bite real quick. And remember, you can mind the time code. So if you were sitting in on this press conference and you knew at the 1 minute mark he had a good answer, you can go straight there, hit the I.
Every day, trying to kind of break it down into 12-day install, offensively and defensively, something very similar. But yeah, we'll go through it, use that hour to install and talk through, position-specific things that we want to get accomplished. Obviously, we like to apply it to the field, but you're not able to. But being in year 2, that has been a lot smoother. Everything's familiar to these guys the second time around, and I think that's helped. Rookie.
So that's a good bite to start with.
Obviously, we like to apply it to the field, but you're not able to. But being in year.
So we'll start it with being in year 2.
Being in year 2.
So the shortcut for that is C. That's the blade, and you can clip it there. That's highlighted. If you want to go back to the normal arrow, you can. The shortcut is V, as in Victor, and then just delete that out.
Being in year two, that has been a lot smoother. Everything's familiar to these guys the second time around, and I think that's helped.
Okay. So we also want to clean up any, you'll be using partial sound bites a lot. Make sure to clean up the like inhales and exhales and stuff.
That's helped.
Give it a little more.
That's helped.
Okay. You can also adjust it this way so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so usually what I do to start is I drop a video clip in to the timeline first, because that's what the aspect ratio it will match, and everything like that. It just kind of simplifies things a little bit. But what we can do now is we're going to put our slate in. So you can go to graphics and then just type in basic. Go to basic title. For every project you turn in, every quiz, every project, that sort of thing, you're going to have a slate. So we have it here. You can highlight this, and it'll be Cliff Kingsbury press conference. Your name, the class, and professor, and then the dates. So this is 9/20. Okay. Now, to adjust it, you can go here under effect controls if you want to raise it. What I'm doing here is, I'm on my laptop, so you see position. If you just hold down on your mouse pad and go hold your finger and slide it left or right, it can adjust it horizontally. You go to the second coordinate. You can bring it up and down, so we can center it that way. And that's where you can make a lot of your edits. So for the first 5 seconds, it is your slates. So what you can do here is go to your time code, hit 0500. That puts you to 5 seconds, and just extend it out that way. Now if you click in between here and then right click, ripple delete will bring it just right to it. Okay, so now this won't be the first clip we use. Unless it's a nat sound, usually we'll start with a VO. The Arizona Cardinals are excited for the season. Okay. So you guys are going to have a much better intro writing than that. I'm just showing you for the basics. So what you can do is bring it to the very beginning. Hit I. Arizona Cardinals are excited for the season. Go to the end, hit O, and then if you just take this, or if you take this clip down here now, you can drop it in right there. Now, obviously, there's no video here because it's audio only, but that's okay. I'll show you why here in a second. So we have our slate. The Arizona Cardinals are excited for the season.
Being in year two, that has been a lot smoother. Everything's familiar to these guys the second time around, and I think that's helped.
Okay, so that's our first little bite. And then Cliff Kingsbury knows it's going to be a tough year in year 3, 2, 1. See, I didn't do it perfect, so I'm redoing it. I'm counting myself in. Cliff Kingsbury knows year 2 will be just as tough as year 1. Okay. So then we'll probably want a nat pop right in here just to break it up a little bit. So we'll put this here. Then let's grab our second Cliff bite.
I believe as a coaching staff, when you look at the opportunities they're going to get, it's not going to be what it would have been rep-wise. Because guess what? Our vets haven't played football in a year as well. Whenever we get our hands on them, it's going to be a longer time than we had anticipated. So they're going to need the work as well. And so, yeah, I think we have to understand things are going to be moving really quickly for these guys when we do get to work with them. And we probably do need to anticipate guys maybe not being as prepared as they have been in the past.
Okay, so we're going to split this in two a little bit too. So dragging this down here, set my in and my out.
Our vets haven't played football in a year as well. Whenever we get our hands on them, it's going to be a longer time than we had anticipated. So they're going to need the work as well. And so, yeah, I think we have to understand.
So we'll start at, I think we have to understand. So if you bring this a little bit tighter, this will make the clip longer so you can get more exact.
A longer time than we had anticipated. So they're going to need the work as well. And so, yeah, I think we have.
So we'll just cut here. Another way that you can do this, let's go to the beginning. You'll get this red arrow and you can drag it, ripple delete, and then let's bring it in tight again.
So, yeah.
Don't need the yeah. So you'll hear him say, yeah, I.
Yeah, I think.
So anytime you have something like that, clean it up so it just starts with I believe.
I think we have.
Or I think.
I think.
Again, V, or excuse me, C is the blade. Delete that out. Shortcut to get back to the arrow is V. Okay, now let's make this a little bit bigger.
Being in year two, that has been.
Oh, went a little too far back. Okay. Ripple delete.
I think we have to understand things are going to be moving really quickly for these guys when we do get to work with them, and we probably do need to anticipate, guys maybe not being as prepared as they have been in the past.
Okay, so then typically at the end you would have in Phoenix, I'm Jordan Ham, Cronkite Sports. And a way that you can do this, I don't necessarily recommend it, but you can if you go to a time code or go here and hit the microphone, it'll count it in for you.
Maybe not being as prepared as they have been in the past.
In Tempe, I'm Jordan Ham, Cronkite Sports. Let's see how that sounded. In Tempe, I'm going to mute myself real quick. Let's try that again. In Tempe, I'm Jordan Ham, Cronkite Sports. In Tempe, I'm Jordan Ham, Cronkite Sports. Okay, so now you have your little bit here. Oh, and you know what? We're going to put some gnat sound right there. So let's find a good natural gnat sound here. Maybe a whistle. I don't think they were making any hits or anything that day in particular. All right, so there's a nice little gnat pop with the catch there. So what I'm gonna do, you know what? Actually, I think we're okay. We'll still have a gnat pop, but how it's laid out right now. So this is your A roll. This is how it should look. So what you're going to do when you're doing your project is you're going to take a screenshot of your A roll and then your full project timeline as well, just so I can see it. You're going to turn that in with your video project. So to screenshot, you do Command-Shift-4, and then all of a sudden you'll see your mouse. I'll put it up here on the footage. You can see how it's changing coordinates. So you're just going to go over the timeline and just hold it and drag over the area you want to take a photo of. Then it'll show up right here, and then eventually it will land on your desktop. Okay, so do that before you start adding B-roll. So obviously we're going to need to add some B-roll here over the VOs. The other thing is, I think for sound bites, typically what you like, kind of rule of thumb is make sure that the sound bite is uncovered for for at least 4 to 5 seconds. That way you can get a lower third in, or production, if you're in Cronkite News, they can add a lower third in for Cliff Kingsbury or whoever's speaking, and they can just get it up and then off the screen in time. Anything shorter than that, it gets real dicey and it makes their job really hard. So you want to make sure that you're not giving them too much of a hard time. So let's just grab, honestly, it doesn't necessarily matter what footage we're using here. Of course, we will use the best footage. You'll use the best footage in all of your projects. Here's some good stuff of Isaiah Simmons. So again, hit I, and you can set your in. And so this footage is obviously a little bit different than what you'll be using for like stationary footage in Project One, where you're sequencing and things like that. We aren't necessarily going to be doing as many sequences with this type of footage, but it's kind of the same concept. So, and we'll get them going a little bit earlier. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if it kind of bleeds over, you know, your clip. So we're also going to bring, this is going to end up being a nat pop for us. So we're going to bring this down to channel 3 as well, just so it stays organized.
That's helped.
Cliff Kingsbury knows year 2 will be just as tough as year 1. Okay. So a couple things on audio. What you can do. One, so typically if you shoot an interview, your interview audio will be on channel 1. So to strictly isolate just that, you can go to audio channels. And in this case, it's a press conference, so it'll only have the one, but here I can show you here. Let's say that this is actually interview footage and not B-roll footage. Go to audio channels, put both of them on the left side, and that means all the audio will be coming through channel 1. So it'll be really clean. I recommend doing that for all of your interviews. But since this is B-roll, it's going to be going through channel 2 or the internal mic here. So you want it all on the right side. So now you can see the audio is very even as it's going. And for audio levels for B-roll, you want it between like -36, like -24 to -36. Here's the mute track button if you just want to isolate while you're editing. So yeah, it's living right between 24 and 30. I think that's perfect. So we unmute.
I think that's helped.
Cliff Kingsbury knows year 2 will be just as tough as year 1.
I think.
So that's coming through at around 12. You want it between -12 and -6. 2 will be just as tough as year 1. Let me bring it up a little bit more. Okay. So let's add a couple more clips. Again, this might be the Isaiah Simmons show, but again, just to get you guys the gist of what we're looking for. So here's a 9-second clip. And this one could be good at the end. So you get Cliff on for a little bit.
Really quickly for these guys when we do get to work with them, and we probably do need to anticipate, you know, guys maybe not being as prepared as.
We'll bring this audio channels right, boom, and then bring the audio down as well.
You know, guys maybe not being as prepared as they have been in the past.
In Tempe, I'm Jordan Ham, Cronkite Sports. Now at the end, you want 3 seconds of pad as well. and that can be silent or like B-roll audio. I think it's fine as well. What that does is that just gives the production crew room to work with, so they can then transition their board to whatever the next thing is in the broadcast. If it just ends abruptly, you'll get a black screen or a frozen screen on a live broadcast, and you don't want that. You want some wiggle room, and that can even be the case of, their finger slips or whatever. They sneeze while they're trying to do it. It gives them that extra time. So every project should have 3 seconds of pad on the back end. Okay, so let's add one more clip here. Here's Eno Benjamin with a nice little catch. Okay, that's 6 seconds. All right, so we'll probably have to make this a little bit shorter. Again, your intro VO is probably going to be a bit longer than what mine was. Mine was only about, I don't know, like a second and a half or something. So we can kind of cut it. Make it a little bit shorter. But you want to make sure, and you can see, like as I'm moving, you're seeing it kind of butt up, next to other edges. That's to reduce dropped frames. So dropped frames are this. So I'm going to purposefully leave this clip just a frame or two short. So life is good. And then you see that black box, or that black shot for a second. That will kill your grade, okay? Make sure that it is going to the beginning of the next clip, or you even can have it bleed over for, just a little bit. I think that's okay. Obviously, don't have it be too much. You don't want the voice, it just to be a disembodied voice for a while, and you're going, who is that? You want to know right away that's Cliff Kingsbury talking. But that way, you won't have any drop frames or anything like that. So let's bring down the audio again. We're going to put it audio channel. This is B-roll, so it'll be on the right side. Let's just check this voiceover. Yeah, it's just the one. Typically, this would be 2. So make sure if it's voiceover, if it's interview, it's all on the left side or channel 1. So let's just watch through this real quick. The Arizona Cardinals are excited for the season.
Being in year 2, that has been a lot smoother. Everything's familiar to these guys the second time around, and I think that's helped.
Cliff Kingsbury knows year 2 will be just as tough as year 1.
I think we have to understand things are going to be moving really quickly for these guys when we do get to work with them, and we probably do need to anticipate guys maybe not being as prepared as they have been in the past.
In Tempe, I'm Jordan Ham, Cronkite Sports. All right, so instantly we can tell that this audio is a little loud. We can bring this down more.
Guys maybe not being as prepared as they have been in the past.
Could even bring Cliff up a little bit.
Guys maybe not being as prepared as they have been in the past.
In Tempe, I'm Jordan Ham, Cronkite Sports. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you, so we have this on layer 3, channel 3. There's some gap here. We want this to be a Nat sound break. So how do we do that? So go to the clip that we're going to be using for the Nat sound. That is this Isaiah Simmons. And you can see the line, and that you can adjust the audio. If you make this tall enough, you'll see the line. You can bring it up and down however you want. Another tool that you can use, there we go. You want this pen tool, shortcut is P. P as in Paul. And just before the blank spot, you can kind of start to just do a couple of these dots. What you want to do is bring it up so it's kind of like a hill. One there. But you want it to kind of be smooth, pretty even. That's pretty close to being even. So now the audio will sound like this.
helped.
Cliff Kingsbury knows year 2 will be just as tough as year 1.
I think we have to understand.
So now you can also hear it's pretty loud, and when it just cuts away, the B-roll just cuts away. So in the effects, you can do dissolve, or not, I'm sorry, not dissolve, fade. Grab fade constant power, and you can drag it on these audio clips, especially for B-roll.
I think we have to understand things are going to be moving really quickly for these guys when we do get to work with them, and we probably do need.
So it just makes it transition a little smoother, not as
we have to
abruptly.
understand.
And that's a really good tool to use. You know, let's look at these. So if you go back to shortcut V, right click, set transition duration. This is on 0.03. I think I set that as my standard. It might be longer. That's where you'll see with fades, you know, crossfades, especially when they're back to back. Here, we'll do this. So that's a pretty long one, obviously.
Familiar to these guys the second time around, and I think that's helped.
Cliff Kingsbury, you can kind of hear Cliff saying so you want these fades to be pretty short. So that's why I say like 0.05, 0.03.
I think that's helped.
Cliff Kingsbury, no. So that'll help kind of with the transition as well. But so let's watch it through one more time, make sure everything looks good. Again, this is a very, very basic version of this. The Arizona Cardinals are excited for the season.
Being in year 2, that has been a lot smoother. Everything's familiar to these guys the second time around, and I think that's helped.
Cliff Kingsbury knows year 2 will be just as tough as year 1.
I think we have to understand things are going to be moving really quickly for these guys when we do get to work with them, and we probably do need to anticipate, you know, guys maybe not being as prepared as they have been in the past.
In Tempe, I'm Jordan Ham, Cronkite Sports. All right, so now what we'll do is we will just set the in at the very beginning. So we hit I, and then the O at the end of the project. Then hit export, export media. And then under the preset, just make it YouTube 720. Hit output name, put PRJ, last name, and then hit export. And make sure the destination is your desktop. Okay, so desktop, PRJ, right there. Then you watch it through. Make sure everything looks okay. The Arizona Cardinals are excited for the season.
Being in year 2, that has been a lot smoother. Everything's familiar to these guys the second time around, and I think that's helped.
Cliff Kingsbury knows year 2 will be just as tough as year 1.
I think we have to understand things are going to be moving really quickly for these guys when we do get to work with them, and we probably do need to anticipate, you know, guys maybe not being as prepared as they have been in the past.
In Tempe, I'm Jordan Ham, Cronkite Sports. All right, looks like everything's okay there. Okay, so now what we're also going to do is we're going to show the whole timeline. Try to get everything included in here. Try to adjust it as much as you can so you can get all the layers in there. That should, we're pretty darn close. I screwed it up. Okay. Ah, dang it. Okay. There we go. Okay, so go to Command-Shift-4 again, and then drag over the timeline, and this is going to be your second screenshot. So now you'll see screenshots. Here's 1. Here is 2. So you're going to rename those believe, you can rename it here. Confirm this. I believe it is SR. A-roll, your last name. Confirm that. You can confirm that on each project. It'll say it on there. But you pretty much rename it. You take these 2 screenshots and you take your video file and then you drop it into the Dropbox file that I will send a request for. So you drop all 3 of those in. You don't need to send me the Premiere file, anything like that. It won't work. I need an MP4 and then the 2 screenshots. And that's what we will get for each project, each quiz as well. So hope this helped. As always, make sure to email me if you have any questions. Thanks.